All right, what's up, everyone? Happy Monday. We're back. Jen's back. Welcome back, Jen. So, if you listened last week, you know that I gave Jen the day off, or the week off, or however you want to look at it. And I think that was good.
I was in rough shape.
It's all right. That happens. So, what were you up to?
While you were recording?
Yeah. Catch people up. I caught them up on my day. That's what I did the episode on. I know you didn't listen to it, but I did
I have not listened to it yet. I don't listen to any of the episodes, in case anyone was wondering. I didn't even listen to my Australian episode that everybody seems to really enjoy, but I was like, I'm good. You guys can hear it. I'm good.
Oh, does everybody seem to enjoy that?
That's the feedback I got. I'm so famous that I get so much feedback.
You're the opposite of famous. Infamous?
Oh, is that how it goes?
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
So I worked a lot last week. I actually had my busiest week ever in my life. So kind of exciting on one sense to have my highest service sales of my entire career. So that was kind of, cool. If that's
random
a goal you try to achieve.
So random sort of thing here. I went through yesterday. I sat down. It was time to go through some numbers, and I look at different sort of things, right? I looked at the last 4 years of our business totaled. So 20, 21, 22, and 23. Obviously, we don't have data from 24 yet. We do have January of 24. So I looked at January 23 to 24. And then I looked at quarter 4 for 22 and 23. All of our numbers are up. So we experienced growth, which is awesome. What I found interesting is January, you're clearly our busiest service provider, right? At Hello. So you were gone for 2 weeks and we still crushed it the month.
It's interesting you say that. So the other thing I came back to is I taught my first creative 2024 content also. And I was talking to that owner, and I think a lot of people come in and think December is going to be like their month. It's Christmas. Everyone wants their hair done. And I've found over the last probably 3-ish years, maybe more, December kind of sucks. It's not as busy as it used to be. People will push their hair out. They don't care. And what I have seen over the last few years is January ends up being really busy, which, years ago, that was not the case. So it's you kind of have to change your mindset. To me now, November, there's a rush, and December kind of chills out a little bit. And then January, we start seeing a rush again.
That's interesting because
at least at our salon, or what I've seen in our salon.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've seen all of the, what do you do during January when it's wicked slow posts? And I'm like, you create business. But so, and I'm not bragging, but we had a over 21% growth from January to January, that's in the healthy range for a business. It's like, I would say like just slightly above, like sort of the mean range for business, I think is 15 to 25% growth. This is not a numbers episode, but everything business it breaks down to numbers. Exactly. So it just is what it is. But I see all these people that are like on social media, oh, January sucks. What are we supposed to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how? Like, got to figure it out. Like, if you know January is going to be slow, or you're predicting January is going to be slow, instead of going on social media and complaining about January when it gets there, maybe in December, November, October, you plan for your January. So
it's interesting. Go ahead.
That's all. That's good.
So, okay, off that point, when our staff kind of came in December, remembering last December was not what they expected it or hoped it to be. So I did exactly that with them. I see them more than you do. So it's easy for me they're like, it's not as busy as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, guys, this is how it's been. So now's your time to post everything. So as people come out of I feel like kind of the suffocation of Christmas and all the stuff they have to do, and they finally get back to January, kids get back to school, and they're like, oh, it's time for me. You have now all your content out there, and it's in front of them so much that they think of you in January. And that's what we're seeing, I feel like, the benefits from. But it's not like, even though the salon itself may not have been as busy, the staff that pushed and put their content out there and put themselves out there, they're seeing how busy they are in January because of the work they did with their content in December. And that's why those that did that are really busy.
And we've talked a ton about content here before too, and being intentful and being mindful. So instead of, this is a pro tip for maybe next year, instead of jumping on, and you can do both, but instead of just jumping on whatever Christmas trends or whatever like holiday trends every salon is doing, get some thoughts into people's heads ahead of time. That's when you should be trying to stand out the most, because everybody's just copying what everyone else is doing.
Right.
And when you don't do that, you'll find success. And it's a sample size of one, because we have one salon, but we've proven that it's effective to do it that way. And we have experienced growth because of that, and would love to teach people if they're interested. So reach out. So we have all sorts of stuff going on, right? And I want to discuss sort of what that looks like, because we are parents, we are a husband and wife, we are business partners, we own a business, we manage a house, we help other people manage their businesses, we have external family and friendships and things like that. So there's a lot going on I want to touch on, but
I need a nap after you just said that.
So how has adjusting back to freedom been for you? I'm just kidding. How is adjusting back to being home back in the States? How has that been? And you went from traveling and teaching and learning and being bombarded from all these different directions, right, while you were in Australia, to coming home and teaching and educating and being bombarded from all these different directions, but just here in the States.
Yeah. Interestingly, this would probably be my first time out of the salon that no clients reached out to me about anything. I think posting my trip on
they
social
didn't want to
media
use those data minutes, those roaming minutes.
Well, I think they all respected it. And if they did reach out, it was through my stories. Like, looks like you're having a blast. Can't wait to see you. So it's super cool, I guess, the respect that they gave me to either they reached out to the salon directly or they waited till I got back. Coming back, I didn't approach it well, but I have never been, actually, that's my first time traveling out of the country with children. Nice. And I came back,
I think you said first time traveling with children. I think you meant
like with having kids, with having a family, like a big trip like that. Like we've traveled before kids, but it's different when, you come back from a trip like that. My family needs me. My children have missed me, plus the business I've been outside of it, plus my husband. So I had dedicated what I thought was enough time, which was, this is going to sound insane, I know, but in my mind it worked. A day, one day, to spend with the family, then the next day to go back and be in my business and take care of my clients. And then the next day to start back in, basically, we had a photo shoot at the salon and building the community and the culture and building our team. And then
that's
the next day,
that's the day you should have been in there, was Sunday, sort of as like a soft re-entering. But can I interrupt you for a second?
Saturday. Yes.
Here's why, for people listening, here's why that happened. Jen assumed that the business was going to collapse in on itself, that it was literally going to be on fire, that there were going to be people hanging from the rafters, that there were going to be, that I was going to have fired everybody and just lost my mind and went crazy. And none of that happened. The staff was absolutely fucking amazing. And our processes were, I would say, maybe challenged, but not defeated. So there's a lot of work that we put into creating that. So now,
and we knew with me being out 2 weeks, it was healthy to see where the business was. You did your check-ins and really, what do we need to step up? And it was minimal. It is minimal, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. But I hope that shows people listening that it can be done. And I hope that it shows you, which I think you've already sort of acknowledged that, well, if I had to travel again, hopefully not to the opposite side of literally the world, but if I have to travel again, or not have to, but if an opportunity comes up to travel wherever, say Europe or wherever, right? That you will not have to worry so much, that you can maybe take that extra day or two and, go from there.
So agreed, because then I come back. I think that's enough time to just get myself together. And then I worked literally open to close Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and part of Saturday. And also we're coming into our daughter had her play, Finding Nemo Jr. So we were in rehearsals that week, and I was helping out with behind the scenes on Friday and Saturday for her play. It was just a lot. And on top of that, I ended up getting some sort of bacteria from traveling. And it was a rough week. And I came out of that kind of going into it was like, all right, I'm going to be home that little bit, dive into the business, take care of Gwen and her play, get into the following week. I'll teach a class and then I'll have a day off. And then the following weekend, I'll recharge. That was my mindset, which when I say that out loud, it really is crazy. And so when I look at that as a human being and a mom and a business owner, I was like, what I pretty much did was I went for my professional development. I kind of came home and put the business first. I tried to put the family a little bit second, and then I was going to take care of them after. And I did it all backwards, or whatever. I will never do it that way again. I learned my lesson because it should have been professional development, come home, take care of myself, family, then get back into the business. Everything would have been completely fine. But my Tasmanian devil mindset spazzes out. And I go into this default of just trying to do everything I can and myself is last. So lesson learned. In the future, everybody will be fine. Everything will be great. And even if there are holes poked in certain things that you do, you'll figure out a way to do it better the next time. No heads will roll off bodies. No fires will be happening. It'll be just fine.
Yeah,
and here I am.
I'm glad that you acknowledged and shared that stuff with people listening because it is important. I thought one day with the family, selfishly, that's not enough time for me after 2 weeks. So you were gone for pretty much like 13 and a half days.
Yeah.
And
2
so,
weeks, yeah.
And so I don't want to exaggerate. No, I'm just kidding.
13 and a half. Sure.
We haven't been apart that long for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I got gypped a little on some time with you, but I was like, that's okay because I put the kids first. And so the kids, that was not enough time for them one day. So our kids are 5, 8, and 11.
And about to be 11.
11 this weekend coming up. So they're young. They need their mom, and
when they found out I was home today and that when they got off the bus, they could see me, it was like, what? Because now it's been almost 4 weeks. And it's like, I think this one might be the first day I'm getting them off the bus. Like, that is just quite silly. Sometimes I think I can have superpowers and do more than I really can. But
yeah, that's
lesson learned.
That's a great segue into the bulk of sort of what I want to get into today with the podcast, which is salon ownership and parenthood and family and juggling those things. So I get like, where do we want to start with this? There's so much what sort of challenges? I guess we just talked about challenges, right? That we face. So I have some strategies and some ideas for, working through time management and separating things. But I also want to point out that this stuff can take an emotional toll on you. I like what you said earlier, where you should have come home after professional development and taking care of yourself first and then the family. If you don't take care of yourself first, you're useless to everybody else.
Everything collapses.
That's why when you're on an airplane, they say, hey, if there's an emergency, put your mask on first and then assist others. Because if something happens to you, now we have another able body that's unabled. So
I agree. I feel like every experience, well, for me personally, every experience I have, every trip we take, I learn something from it. And I definitely work on being, what? What?
Every trip we take. Isn't that a Sting song?
Sting. I get better at it. So like if an opportunity comes to travel again, I will be better at the travel part, the coming home part, the leaving part, like all of that will be better. I always make notes on like how things go, even every holiday, like what worked that holiday, what could be better next holiday, things for me to remember.
Are you talking about business or personal?
For everything.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Squeaky.
So
I'm a note taker.
I used, me too. We're going to jump into that right now, actually. Great. So I used the word juggling earlier because, and I used it on purpose, even though I'm not really fond of that word in that scenario, because we don't juggle. The word juggle to me implies that you're sort of just throwing things up in the air and catching them as they come down. And people will always ask, like, how do you guys juggle all this? And I'm like, well, we don't juggle, we plan. We have a strategy and we plan everything. And what are some...
We are like an orchestrated performance in the morning. Like, it's interesting on like how it kind of like ebbs and flows, and everyone knows their lane and how it all works out.
What does that mean?
To get the day started.
What does that mean? Talk about that.
So
for people listening, they're like,
by the time I'm leaving for work or to bring our third child to school, I have been up. I get up at 5:30, 5:20 every morning. I have to do a workout. And that is so I get up before anyone else. The house gets up.
So you're talking about at home. For people listening, we're talking about both. So
so at home, my daily routine Monday through Friday when the kids are in school, 5:20, 5:30.
You were talking about an orchestra.
Yeah, because so here's where it goes.
Okay.
I get the dog out. I do my workout. By 6, Todd's getting Marley up and starting his breakfast. I like preheat the oven. I get the vitamins out and like breakfast plates started. Then by like 6:30, I come off the bike. You're getting Gwen up. You're getting her breakfast ready. Now I'm taking Marley up to get him dressed. Then I take a shower, get myself ready. Then I get Gwen dressed. In between there, I just got Marley out to the bus. Now Gwen's out to the bus. Then we come back in and make sure Ollie's all set. Like the way that all goes, and it goes generally like the flow of that is really seamless, because the other goal is that we want these kids to start their day in the most like nicest way possible. Like, who knows what they're going to get hit at when they're at school. So coming out of our home, getting onto that bus, as long as they're leaving happy and smiling, like that part of our day is now done. Great. I hope they have a wonderful day, but we've added to that wonderfulness as they're leaving. Then it's getting Ollie to school, then me to work. Like that's, first, most people probably are like, I need a nap now. And our day hasn't even started with the work stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I love it, but it takes, I mean, one of us can do it, but with both of us doing it, it does have a nicer flow. Like you made French toast this morning, and I wouldn't have time to do that and do everything else.
One of us can definitely do it. I just did it for 2 weeks while you were away.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's just nicer to do with somebody because it takes pressure off. Or if somebody needs a hand with something. Yeah, I did make French toast. So this morning I made pizza, French toast, spaghetti. One of the kids wanted for lunch. And that was it. And cut up some fruit. So, yeah, I guess just so our kids can have a good day and start their day off right. So, yeah. Let's jump in. So, how do we stay organized? How do we work through so that we're not juggling? I made like a little short list here. So we have calendars.
Yes.
All over the place. So this morning I was like, I alone use, I think, 6 separate calendars. There are probably more than that if I think of it. So wherever you just looked up at the refrigerator.
I have one.
So there's 2 sort of those whiteboard calendars on the refrigerator. And then there's a school calendar, and each kid has a school calendar, but I counted that as one. So there's 3.
Because each kid is in a different school.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know anyone.
And
anyone
then,
listening that cares.
And then I have the calendar on the door near where you're sitting. That's the kids' calendar.
Yes.
And then I have a calendar on my phone that I use for work and home stuff, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, all that stuff. And then I'm looking at a giant whiteboard calendar that I have that is somewhat family stuff if there's big stuff, holiday reminders, and then it's work. When we're recording, when I have to get emails out to my email list, when I have to post in Slack to our staff, stuff like that, and I keep organized through there.
And I have a actually like daily planner that I write in also.
Yeah.
And that keeps me organized, especially with my education side. I have all of that information goes in there because I have to know what salon I'm going to, where I'm traveling, contact information. So I use my like actual like daily planner to keep myself organized there.
Yeah. So if you don't leverage calendars, I would try it out, and see.
It actually, I feel like keeps my mind calm, knowing that we can see everything that's going on.
Sure. I agree. And you don't have to start off with 6 calendars. Start off with 1. I like to use different things for different situations. I have certain even apps in my phone, like certain web browsers I use to save like business stuff. where I have a million tabs open, but it's all business stuff. And then I have a certain tab that I use like for just personal stuff, like if I'm looking up a recipe or whatever,
Right.
that type of stuff. I don't know why my mind works that way, but it works separate. If you want stuff all together, try it out that way. To me, it becomes
Yeah,
a
like
lot because I'm sifting through stuff and I don't
yeah,
want to
same.
sift through stuff. The next example I had on here was booking software. If you're still not using booking software, you're going to be constantly bombarded and having to take care of booking appointments. So I think
Yeah,
that's a great way to stay organized with your business.
I would agree. Plus, we're seeing a huge trend over the last year or so of the amount of traffic through our online booking system. It's huge. So it's really where it's at. And people want to book at midnight when they maybe get home from work or they want to do whatever. They don't want to leave a message. They don't want to wait for you to get back to them, and they want to see who's available, and they want to see prices. Like all of that is what's open to them when you have an online booking system and a platform. So they know when they're clicking on stuff, they know their budget. They can pick the person. We have a bio page with everyone's picture on it. We're updating currently. I think Todd is. So they can see who is the service provider that's available. What do they look like? And then they can see their prices, and they have as much time as they need to really decide who would they like to be with, what's their price point, and do all of that without feeling like they're like bothering somebody. Like when you're on the phone, I always feel like someone's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. It's totally fine. I have
Yeah.
a minute, or I wouldn't have picked up the phone, When you have online booking though, they can have that all in front of them and take however much time they need to figure it out.
Yeah. And that might be a shift for you. So if you're not currently using online booking or encouraging people to, you're going to have to build that into your culture, which is what we've done. We have iPads on our stations so that people can rebook while they're sitting in the chair, because we thought of, or we tried to think of, what do the clients want? Not what do we want? Of course, what do you want comes into play. But if you can look at this as, like a service industry, which it is, and you can be of service, like Jen, you were just saying, what are our clients looking for? Well, they're looking for ease, simplicity, a decent user experience, stuff like that. They want to they want the freedom and flexibility to just book the appointment. They don't want to have to wait for a call and this and that. So, and like you said, we've noticed a trend. We've noticed a massive uptick in online bookings. And we have somebody that does our digital marketing, and I, supplement that with other things. But I would say 90% of the people that I have come in that I cut their hair, I'm like, how'd you hear about us? Salon near me, barber near me. And we're just popping up because we're doing those things and building that into our culture, and it just spreads on its own.
Right.
The next thing I had was employee communication, because in your last salon, I think you guys tried to use like a Facebook page at one point.
Yeah, we had like a Facebook group.
Yeah, which is fine in a makeshift sort of temporary way, but it gets disorganized, stuff gets pushed way back. I haven't used Facebook in that way in years. They've probably stepped it up. But then what happens is, then your phone is blowing up, and you had a business partner. So your phone would blow up or their phone would blow up, and then you guys aren't communicating. So you don't know what's going on with, Lucy, who's sick or whatever. You know what I mean? So it just gets messy. So we use Slack. It's super simple system. You can use whatever system you want. But if you have employees, use some sort of communication software where it can be
it's necessary
together. And where we have two owners, obviously, Jen and I own the business together. So we encourage our staff, like when Jen was away, I was like, just private message me. You don't have to include Jen on this stuff, because she's going to have 700 things that are arbitrary. When she gets home, they're already solved. She doesn't even need to see it. But for the most part, we encourage our staff to talk to both of us. Because either way, if a staff came to me and private messaged and was like, hey, whatever issue, okay, I still have to go to Jen now because I have a business partner to explain it. So it's adding a step where you leverage the software. And if you're a solo owner, perfect. Then that doesn't apply to you. But we are not solo. We are a couple. We are a business partnership, and we're a dual partnership. Remember that?
Dual partnership.
And we're trying to
It does help keep everything organized. And I feel like not only the organized part, but it creates the culture of boundaries because everybody can pause their Slack. Like I'll say to people, I don't see my text pop up, but I will allow Slack to pop up. So this helps the boundary of them texting me individually. And I'm like, if you put it on Slack, I will see it. And if you put it on Slack with Todd, you're going to get an answer from one of us. If you do not do that and I'm not getting back to it, it's because you didn't include both of us. I might have missed it. Like it's just a way to keep it organized in the sense of if I'm out and I don't want to have to be a part of Slack, like the salon's closed, I can pause all my notifications. There's nothing super urgent. I don't need my phone. Salon's open. I make sure Slack messages come through so that Todd and I can always be present in whatever the staff needs while the business is open. It just works on so many things. And then we have channels in there. So there's a schedule channel, there's our events channel, there's our education channel. So this way we can keep things organized and even what we're talking about, it's not all under one thread. So, it alerts them. So the staff also knows when something pops up, oh, something under education, what's going on? What do I need to mark off on my calendar? Also, when schedules pop up, Todd and I realize there's something we need to do in our software to mark someone off if they're having the day off, that kind of stuff. And it keeps those threads nice and clean.
Agreed. I'm big on lists. So I have to-do lists, and something I would encourage you to do if you have, or you can even do this at home with your, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, is to have shared lists.
Mm-hmm.
So we have iPhones. You can share, for example, we have a shared grocery list.
Yes.
That might seem silly, but it's
amazing.
It's another thing that we've leveraged, another piece of technology that we've leveraged, that we don't need to sit down every few days and go through a list. You can just put, if our son needs his go-go applesauce packs, right? You don't have to text me, hey, can you add this to the list? You just add it to the list. It's just automatically on there.
And then when either of us have to go to the store or maybe are just running to the store, we can easily check the list. Like, what else did we need? It should be on there. Yep. And it does help keep us like not only organized, we don't run out of stuff, so it's
there's
fantastic.
Been times where you've texted me and you're like, hey, I want to have whatever for dinner. Do we have the stuff? I don't know. I'll check and update the list because you're going to the store. And then that's it. We don't have to go back and forth. Nothing's getting lost. It's all right on there. Something that we sort of go back and forth on is set hours. And so I just want to touch on it quickly.
Okay.
If you're not leveraging these systems, it's going to be difficult for you to have set hours where you're working versus where you're not working versus where you're with your family. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to figure those things out. Now, people work in different ways. Like Jen's up 5 a.m., you're on your phone. Totally fine. That's like your workflow. That's what works for you. That might not work for me. I need to like get my brain going a little bit before I start replying to stuff, or I'll make all sorts of mistakes. It just doesn't work for me. And then it becomes stressful because now I've done work that I have to redo. And I don't like that.
Right.
It used to bother me that you had those hours because my brain was like, why would she have those hours? That's insane. She's stressing herself out. But it actually is something that calms you. Mm-hmm. And even though it doesn't work for me, it doesn't have to.
Right.
So having those sort of hours where you are okay with working or not okay and deciding that and figuring that out, I think is important. And it's going to be very, very individual. It's like when we talk about the buzzword boundaries, yours are different than mine. What's that?
Yeah, I said I did use that word.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even hear you. Anyways, and the other thing is some tips with managing your schedule and balancing family, homework, kids, life, all that stuff is to just have realistic expectations.
Yes.
So like Jen, for example, you are, you've been known to be unrealistic from time to time and think that you can do it all. And then you get mad when you can't. Mm-hmm. So we'll leave that at that.
I'm an overachiever, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It is true. I do. I like shoot for the stars every time. And that's not awesome because then I get burnt out and have like a meltdown. But I try. My heart's in the right place.
Try. It's it's drying, right? So the other thing, so we talk about having a network in business all the time. One of the things that helps us a ton in our personal life with our kids, with our whatever, is relying on our network. That's our personal network. So we are fortunate. Jen's mom lives in town, and
Amazing.
her husband,
Shout out Gigi,
is also amazing and has saved us. I don't even know how many times.
so many times.
And I talked about planning, but there are only so many things you can plan for in the real world, right?
And when shit hits the fan, you need to figure out who you can call quickly.
Yeah, we've had days where, I don't know, I have to bring a kid to urgent care. And then they're taking forever and I can't just leave.
And the bus is coming.
And so, I have another kid that's getting off the bus. So I have to call your mom, who isn't available. So she calls her husband and he's like, I can get there. And it's just having that network and relying on people. I'm not saying, because I used to be the like, I don't need help person. It's much better to have help.
Yeah.
And we're also fortunate. My dad doesn't live super close, but he's like 45 minutes away. So he can get there. It's just I need more of a head up. Having someone in town, you're talking about a 10-minute door to door. Yeah. So that is very nice.
And when things pop up last minute, which that's how that happens, you need that like close person.
That's why I talked about planning. It's not, you just can't plan everything.
Yeah.
You know, you would have to say, if you're behind the chair and I'm at the urgent care or doctor's with a kid, do we leave the kid at urgent care and come back? Or do we leave your client sitting in the chair with lightener on their head for you to come back? You know what I mean? So those things don't make sense. So having a network, just like you have a lawyer, an accountant for your business, all that stuff, hopefully you have people that can help you in your personal life. You know, and that could even be a friend or somebody I didn't bring this up yet, but somebody just to vent to. Because that can help alleviate a lot of stuff too.
Absolutely.
One of the things we've been big on lately, and I love over the last, I would say, second half of 23 and starting this year, is we prioritize family time. And we make sure that we're doing things with our kids and with each other to have time that's not, work isn't allowed to intrude on that time.
Right.
So we do family dinners. You know, we try to at least once, but more times a week, we try to eat all together. Sometimes we're just not home at dinner time together. Yeah. It is what it is. But for example, on Sundays or Saturdays or Friday evenings, depending on what's going on, we make sure that phones are away and we're with the kids and we're all sitting either in our kitchen or at the dining room table. I think that's important because it's like we're talking about balance, right? So you have to build those. Nice dog. Bowie.
Sorry, guys.
I don't think anybody cares. You couldn't really even see him.
That's their lap.
What was I talking about?
The dinners.
Oh, yeah. It's just important to have that time. And if
and just chat and hang out.
Right. Because if I know there are people out there that do this and I'm not knocking it, but if you are talking to your kids, but you're also texting somebody on your phone or replying to an email, you're not giving either one 100%. And also,
our oldest son, I'll just call you out now. He'll be like, you're not listening to me. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Give me a minute here.
You probably got that from me because I've been known to do that. And I feel like I have an attitude, but a lot of times I'm like, I'll wait. Because I'll say something and then you'll pick up your phone and start texting. And I'm like, oh, I'll wait. I'll just wait.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. It's like slightly annoying, but it's become something that's like funny, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to just have that stuff. Sometimes it's not allowed to intrude.
Yeah. Today we're going to do a game day because Marley wants to play this game. So I'm home, you're home. I said we can sit down when everybody gets home and the whole family we're going to play this game that we somehow can't seem to get the rules all situated. So we'll try again.
The other things, so we also do some other stuff that's like just family and not business is not allowed to come into it. Vacations.
Yep.
We We go, I would say we take the kids away fairly often.
Try to.
Yeah. Try, even if it's
nice.
like
I think even if it's for, I think we're going like 2 nights, 3 nights, but it's nice to get out of like your everyday atmosphere. And I find for even myself, like if we're home on a Sunday, I want to chill, but I'm like, oh, I got to get the laundry done. I got to get the dishes done. I want to vacuum. Like I can't turn. I know there's some people that are like, I can just do that later. Like my brain won't chill when I'm sitting if I don't have that stuff done. So when we go away, it's kind of nice because that stuff's all out of the equation. So I feel like for me personally, can be so present when we do a night away or something like that, because I'm not worried about all that stuff because it's not in front of me,
Yeah. Vacations, birthdays are another thing we make a big deal out of. We don't have huge parties or anything, but we do small family stuff, and we invite like our local family over. Yep. We decorate. We have fun. Weekends. So weekends always look different. You might be at the salon. I might be at the salon. We both sometimes are at the salon. We both sometimes are off. So we just kind of come up with that. Sundays, the salon is open. So we're available, but it's pretty low key day for us. We usually like to lay low. Maybe we watch a movie, hang out. Again, I'm just giving people things to think about that they might be able to use in their own lives. Yeah. Sports. I know a lot of people are like, sports. I'm not into sports. We use sports to hang out with our kids. So we'll put the Celtics on. I wish we could put the Patriots on, but they're home. And we use that as a reason to just sit around and be together. We'll make some food. We'll hang out. If other people are around, family, we'll invite them.
We make a snack plate.
Yeah. Snack plate, cheese and crackers. So another thing too, if you're running a business with your significant other, you guys are going to need time that's not work. That's like a cheesy, I'll say, date nights or times. So something that we'll do is maybe on a Friday after work, because we're both in the salon, we go grab a cocktail or we go grab an appetizer somewhere and we just sit. It was funny because we had something, I forget what it was, to talk about, and we disagreed on it. I remember disagreeing, but I don't remember what we disagreed on. And then we went, and so we did that. And when we walked out of the business, we were like, let's go grab a beer somewhere. And so we went and sat at a bar, and we met another couple that was like,
I forget their names. They were so sweet.
Yeah, they were super nice. And we just got talking to them, and they were like, we used to own a business together. How do you guys handle it? How is it going? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, we just had a business meeting and it didn't go so well because we disagreed and we're kind of getting at each other. But here we are now, like 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, sitting next to each other, having a beer, talking to you guys. You just got to be able to let stuff go. Yeah. This week our staff is sending us to the Celtics game. So it happens to fall on Valentine's Day. So we are going to Boston. We're going to do dinner and then the Celtics game. And
we're going to have some geeky matching outfits.
Yeah. We're going to be geeks. But you know what? It's like, it's bonding. It's like being with your other person. Fun. You
gotta have fun.
Yeah. And I'm pretty hopeful that we won't really need to talk about work. It's just going to be a day for our relationship, just like Todd and Jen as a couple, the kids aren't going. So it's as the Celtics, the kids aren't going. So it's just us, which is nice. The last thing that I want to touch on before we wrap up is what you mentioned earlier, is putting yourself first. Sounds selfish, but by putting yourself first,
not easy,
taking care of yourself, your health and wellness, your spirituality, wherever you want to go with it, I don't care. You have to put your mask on first before you can help other people. Talk about the airplane mask that falls from the ceiling in case of an emergency. I'm not talking about COVID masks. So
thank God.
I have just 3 quick things on here, and you can dive in on your stuff. But exercise and movement. If you're stressed out all the time, move your body. If you feel tired all the time, move your body. If you
oh my gosh, even when you might be like, she gets up at 5:30. Like that workout, when I do that, I feel so much better after. I have so much more energy.
Yeah. The next thing I had was nutrition. Just be mindful with your nutrition. This isn't a health and wellness podcast, but I have a background in health and wellness. I am a nutrition consultant. I am certified personal trainer. I owned and operated a gym for 10 years, helping people. I talked about it a little bit last week. Jen, you would have known if you listened, but you don't. And then the last thing I had on here was mental breaks. You are going to need time off. And I mean completely off. That might be off from your partner, your business partner, your spouse. I'm not talking about like taking a break or something, anything crazy like that. But you got to do some stuff for yourself. Even if it's take a ride. The other day I took a ride. I was like, I need to just put on a podcast or music and take a ride. I'm just going to go drive around. I'll take the long way. And I think I ran a couple of errands, had to get gas, stuff like that. But those little mental resets, like, I don't know, maybe you can talk about stuff. Maybe go get a massage, like take private time for just you, and you'll come back to your relationships, whether they're business or personal, with more to offer.
Absolutely. If you have nothing left in the tank, I mean, there's nothing left in the tank. Like, what are you going to do? And just to sit there, if you're one of those people that are like, I'm just so burnt out, I'm so burnt out. Okay, so stop saying how burnt out you are and figure out what is the solution to get you less burnt out. You're in the driver's seat. Like, it's yours to determine what's going to help you recharge, what's going to help get your head back straight, your mindset there. That's yours to do. Like Todd said, take a ride, take a yoga class, or go for a walk, or listen to music, whatever that looks like for you. But just to sit there and keep saying how burnt out you are, or what?
I want to do a yoga class. Is yoga cool?
I did one when I was in Australia. It was awesome.
I did a couple when I had my gym. We did some pop-up yoga classes. Yeah.
But it's your, if that's resonating with you, it's yours to take control of that and figure out what's going to get you less burnt out. And one small step, do that, and then you can keep building on it. Don't try to do everything all at once, but figure something out that can help you feel more present in your life, in your business, in your personal life, in your mind, all of that stuff. You got to figure out that for yourself.
I love what you just said. You're in the driver's seat. So if you're overwhelmed, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you're overwhelmed due to your choices.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to accept ownership. You've got to let your ego take the hit if that's what's going to happen, and be like, yep, I caused this. And then figure out a way to work through it.
Right.
You know, maybe
get yourself out of it.
Yeah. Maybe reach out and talk to a mentor. It doesn't have to be us. If it is us, reach out. We'd love to talk to.
Happy to help.
We love to talk to as many people as we can. We're talkers. If you couldn't put that together. Anything else, Jen? I think that's good.
No, I think that's great. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Welcome back, Jen.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Glad to be back.